Okay. We are going over the medical dental visitation record. This is the form you're going to use for every doctor's appointment. If there's a hospital visit, ER, if the doctor calls you over the phone to tell you some information about medications, you're going to want to pull this form out. Anytime there's an interaction with any medical or dental provider, you must use this form to document that. So we're going to go over each section. For upcoming appointments, you are going to fill out the top portion of this form. And it is very important that every single section is filled out. If one of the sections does not apply, you're going to type in like NA. But for this training, we're going to go over every section. And I just want to stress for you to remember that every section, every line, every checkmark box needs to be looked at and figure out what needs to be checked off. So before the appointment, you're going to fill out what the date is of the appointment, the name of the provider. It'd be like Dr. DePro, or sometimes like you go to Decode, which is the dental clinic, and you might not know the actual name of the actual dentist, so just put in Decode. And then down here, you're going to select whether it's annual physical or if it's a dental. If it's neither one of those or a psych med review, you are going to select other and then type in here. So podiatrist could be one of them, or like endocrinologist, something like that. And then you're going to come down here and you're going to select what type of appointment. Is it in person? Is it virtual? Was it over the phone? So you'll select there. Over here, the person we support name, their date of birth. And then you're going to select whether the appointment was attended independently. That means the person we support went in by themselves. Or if a third party was present, that's usually a family member that joins us. We're going to click on that. And if you yourself are also in the appointment, then you're going to click the DSP assist. And you, as the supporting staff, even if you don't go in, let's say the person goes in with their family member, you are the one that brought them to the appointment. So you are going to write your name, print your name here, and then sign your name. The pharmacy information will already be filled out for you. What is the main health problem or reason for the appointment? Annual physical, you're just going to do a couple word description of what is the person you're supporting? Why are they going to the appointment? Check on blood glucose levels, lab work. These are all possible reasons for the appointment. So you'll fill that out before the appointment. If the person you're supporting is going into a mental health appointment, we will not be keeping a record of what happens in the appointment because it's confidential. So in those cases, you would check off the confidential counseling mental health appointment, just so that everyone knows why we're not actually writing down the details. But you would still fill this section out of saying counseling appointment. Circle or list other needs. So during the appointment, are you in need of, is the person needing prescription renewals? Do we need to go over test results? Do we need a referral to OT or PT possibly? Scheduling future appointments. And here you could write, I think there was something recently where they wanted to discuss having a health or a home health aid provider. So whatever is the goal, like other things you need to remember besides the main appointment, you're going to list all of those things down here. And a lot of times you're going to want the prescription renewals. The next thing, any recent changes or stressors. This could be staff changes, family illnesses or stress, change in their living or social environment. You know, did the person just move? If no changes, then you check no. But if there have been some changes, you're going to write that in. So, for example, this person's long-term, full-time staff no longer works with this person. That's a major change for a lot of people, and it's good for any medical providers to know if something major like that has happened. The person we support moved. That's another life stressor, or a family member passed away. So you're going to write that down there. Some people, when they do their psych med reviews or meeting with their provider that prescribes the psych medication, if the prescriber has asked us to keep any data, for example, like maybe aggressive outbursts, they want us to track how many times does that happen in a day or how many times in a week. You would have a chart for that at the house. So if you were going to a psych med appointment, you're going to make sure that you're bringing copies of those documents to the appointment with you. You have those ready to give to the provider if they have asked because they want to review those documents. Okay, then you reach a line here that says staff do not complete below this line. We like that line because we're done with our part for before the appointment. We're not done for after the appointment, but we're at least done for what we need to do before the appointment happens. So now we're going to the appointment, and this form you're going to hand to the provider. And this section, it says physician, nurse, provider to complete. So you will ask them to fill out this whole section here. Now, a very important, like if I could say like this is the second most important part of this form, is to make sure that you find out what is the follow-up information. Do we come back? Is this a 1 week checkup thing? Is this a 6 months thing? Am I supposed to send them something on my chart? You want to make sure that you're getting all, you write in here everything that you need to know about follow-up. Usually it's just a date and they say come back in 6 months. So that'd be like May 15 at 3 p.m. And then make sure that the doctor, the provider has signed this form. Now, here's the number. I said that was the number 2 most important. Here is the top most important part of the form. This is going to be completed after the appointment is over. Turn over. This is on the back side of your form. This section to be completed by supporting staff. Any further training for staff needed based upon today's visit. So if it's just a routine visit, nothing really new happened, just the refills were given out, and we could check no, there was nothing new that happened. But let's say that the let's say it was a nutritionist and they said, oh, the person you're supporting, it's has really, the labs are kind of wonky. We think we need to reduce the sodium level of the foods that this person is eating because the hypertension is high. And so we're thinking, oh, this is something new for this team. So, how are we going to make sure that everybody is on the same page with what this doctor has recommended? So, that would be a yes if something new has been introduced to what this person, what their needs are based upon what the provider has told you during this appointment. Go down to the next thing. Was there a new medication prescribed that needs to be nurse delegated? So, new medication, let's make sure is this a new medication? And then if this is to be nurse delegated, that means that the person we support is not able to administer it themselves. They need staff to do the physical administration of the medication. So the person, let's have an example of, has an ear infection and the person is unable to physically reach their ear to do the ear drops that were prescribed. That's going to be yes for needs to be nurse delegated. However, if it's a person that we support, the ear infection, we can see that you might have to help them aim at their ear a little bit, but they can squeeze the bottle, they can drop the eardrops into their ear. Then that's no for no nurse delegator. But we're going with a situation where we do need it delegated. So you are going to be asked to fill out the date and the time that you contacted the nurse delegator. And actually, there's a spot a little further down. The next question, it doesn't have to do with nurse delegation. It's just, is this a medication change? So this could be an example of a med was decreased, a medication was increased, a medication, they stopped one and we're going to try a different type of medication for this issue. This is when they have a medication that started for 7 days, a temporary medication. Anything that's a change to their medication is gonna, if you select yes, then you need to continue on to go through this checklist. If there's no medication, medication change, just check no. And then all of this is NA, not applicable. But for this form training, we're gonna check off yes, so that we can walk through what the next steps are. Pharmacy is the first one. We need to make sure that the pharmacy got the information about the change, the meds. So you're going to put down the name of Omnicare and what was the date and what was the time when you called Omnicare or ReadyMeds or Walgreens, whatever it is, and confirm whether they received the change that was made by the doctor. Usually the doctors are sending things electronically nowadays. So a phone call afterwards just to make sure that those electronic instructions went through is very important. And you want to make sure that what the doctor told you that they were doing, what the doctor wrote up here about their treatment plan, like let's say it's eardrops to take for 7 days, like twice a day. You're going to ask the pharmacy, did you get that? Does it say twice a day for 7 days? And if they say, oh no, it says once a day, then we know there's a problem. And in that case, you have to contact the prescriber the person up here again and ask them and say, hey, the pharmacy got instructions that said once a day, but you had told us on our form here that it was supposed to be twice a day, and have them clarify and fix the instructions to the pharmacy. The next thing, your team coordinator needs to know that there's been a change to the medication. So you're going to put the person's name here, Judy Stone, the date and the time when you told her about, you notified her about what the change was. Then the third thing here, information to the documentation specialist. We've got Emily down here. You've got a cell phone number. You've got an email address. So the date and time that you informed the documentation specialist. Then next we have to make sure everyone on the team is aware of the medication change. So noted in the staff to staff log, you're going to write in so that whenever people come onto shift, they're going to read through the notes and find out what the changes are. Then we need to get the medication chart updated according to whatever was changed. And there are some blank forms at the houses for writing in changes. You can also go to the documentation specialist and work it out between Emily and your team coordinator as to whether you're going to just do a handwritten change on one of those blank forms, or they're not blank, they're actually med charts, but they just are generic. They haven't been pre-filled in yet. So are you going to just do one of those? Or are you going to, maybe the team coordinator or Emily is going to update it on the computer, and they can print out a copy for you and either leave it for you to pick up at the front desk or send it, if the person you're supporting has a printer, they might be able to send it to the printer. And then there's the medication information sheet, and that's another training. So we will not go over that. Down here is a section for you to add any more extra notes about additional follow-ups. So for example, let's say a low sodium diet was recommended. So the doctor gave us handouts, and we now have like the handouts describing what types of foods should be eaten. The documentation specialist sent us a food chart, and so we will bring the food chart to the next appointment for nutritionist to review. Something like that. Anything that you want to note that we did after the appointment to address any of the issues that happened during the appointment. Once this form is filled out, you are going to place it in the documentation binder. Look on the table of contents. There's a section that says for completed medical dental visit records, and you're going to file it in that section until the end of month paperwork is going to be pulled out. This is so whenever staff come in on their shifts, they, besides looking at the staff to staff log, they also have this medical dental visit record to read through so that everyone has all the knowledge from the appointment and we're all on the same page. So that is the conclusion of this medical dental visitation record form training. Thank you. or anything you would like to add, Emily?
I would just add that it's better to be more specific if you're in doubt. For example, like if you're looking at like what's the main health problem or reason for the appointment, follow up is not specific enough to describe. So, follow up to what? Follow up to a CT scan or a blood draw. It's definitely better to be more specific.
Excellent.
And then on the back of the form, if you ever are in doubt of whether you need to contact someone, contact someone. Because if you don't know for sure that you don't have to contact someone, then just go ahead and do it. It's better to overshare with your team coordinator or the nurse or the documentation specialist or whoever. Well, not whoever, but rather than not share information, because then you'll be held responsible for not sharing that information, and that's not good.
Right. I want to add, well, we're talking that making sure also that this follow-up appointment date that gets written on the calendar of the person you're supporting's calendar so that we don't miss an appointment because we forgot to put it on the calendar. Okay. I think that's it. That's it for now. Okay, let me figure out how to stop all of this recording. Stop recording. Oh my gosh, imagine if I had not